I got to make sure I get this stupid mute button off. So you didn't hear anything. I know there's no view, there's no volume because I was muted because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just talked for like a whole minute, 2 minutes, and there was nothing. Anyway, so yeah, that's me, Lou. What am I gonna do? I am true to form. Jasmine Crockett calls Governor Abbott Hot Wheels. Kind of a joke around here, but a little bit different when it's a sitting representative. Russia-Ukraine truce, maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Rachel Zellweger continues to give herself some press, which is better than no press. I think people fail to realize that Rachel Zellweger actually has the idea that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. And people do not like Rachel Zellweger, which keeps her in the news. So at least she keeps that up. Yeti, there's a story from the Blaze that Yeti is possibly going woke. I don't know if woke is the correct term. There was a there's a story from the Blaze that they removed or they decided to not engage or not participate. A conservative nonprofit says Yeti suddenly canceled an order because of a political word, the word being conservative. So I don't know how Yeti's going to deal with that because Yeti is very well known for their outdoor barbecues, very outdoorsy stuff, very a lot of stuff that you would consider conservative. So it's interesting that they would go into the waters like that. And then finally, Disney at a shareholders meeting rejects MAGA, rejects a call to kind of extend out an olive branch, if you will, and just wants to double down and triple down on everything they're doing. Plus, some news from President Trump regarding Planned Parenthood, which could be potentially very good, and more. So, as I was trying to say before when I was kindly muted, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to ensure that this show continues to grow, even with my mistakes in the technical field. Hopefully, if I get enough people, then I can bring a producer in, and I don't have to worry about any of that. Hope you all like my new chalkboard. And if you know what verse that is, you know what Bible verse that is, you understand the reference, and you understand how important today is for us Catholics. So let's get into it now, ladies and gentlemen, and let's have some fun tonight. Let's absolutely have some fun here. See. Steph, you didn't really want to be doing that because under your own standards, Joey B wouldn't have been president. Joey Biden would have been president. So be careful what you wish for. Let's see here. CCC. All right, let's get to our first stuff of the day. Boop. Nope, that was the conservative nonprofit. We'll get to that one in a second. Let's just address this real quick. People are dunking on Rachel Zellweger for this. So she posted this on the Instagrams, on the gram, as the kids say. And people are like, I can't believe Rachel Zellweger. She's stupid. Does she have any idea of what's going on? She's clearly got a hole in her head. First of all, this was probably not her. This was probably her PR team that just fired this off, because you got to put lipstick on a pig somewhere. And even if I'm not calling her a pig, I'm saying your movie has flopped. It's the lowest garnering live action Disney movie ever. And you got to spin it somehow. If it's the number one movie in the world, it's the number one movie in the world. There was a time when my book, The Armed Catholic, The Catholic Case for Guns and Self-Defense, which you can get on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. I would prefer Barnes & Noble. It's a better copy. Also, real quick today, my audio book is available of The Armed Catholic at Google Play, at Spotify, Apple Books, everywhere but Amazon, because Amazon is a PETA. If you understand what the acronym PETA means, then you understand Amazon in a nutshell. But if you're a big fan of audiobooks, you can get it as an audiobook, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Books, pretty much everywhere but Amazon. So if you have been waiting, now is the time to get my my audiobook from Amazon, narrated by the amazing Sebastian Kronowski. Great friend, very honored for him to do that, and I definitely suggest you check it out. So she's just trying to put some kind of spin on it. Oh, I was saying, there was one time on Amazon where my book was number one in like obscure religious takes. It was some weird category at Amazon, and I was like, you know what? Number one's number one. And in her case, number one is number one. So if she's going to be the number one movie in the world. It's the number one movie in the world. Dude, this is the worst hairstyle in the world. I understand being, trying to be true to the character, but that's an antiquated hairstyle. They needed to just give her regular hair. It just did not do her any favors. You're right about that. But people are trying to dunk on her for it. She's trying to spin this, and you would do the exact same thing. It's just a PR team move. Hey, it doesn't matter if the movie lost money. It's the number one movie in the world. Even if it's for 4 days, even if it's for 1 day, you can still claim it's the number one movie in the world because most people have the attention span of a goldfish and they do not realize that it may be the number one movie in the world, but it's still a big flopping piece of, poo-poo. So people are dunking on her. I don't think they should be, simply because this is PR 101. PR 101. Take whatever it is, flip it around, and try to make something positive out of it. So good for her. Let's move on to our next story. I got three more warm-up stories before I get to this. So from Ground News, they have a daily briefing here, 2 daily briefings. The first one being FBI task force has been formed as violence against Tesla escalates. If you've heard me talk about this before, this is not a federal thing. I actually talked about this more in depth when I was on News with the Pew, or News from the Pew with Steve Cunningham, that what they are doing does technically fit the definition of domestic terrorism because they are inciting violence because of a political agenda. These are true facts. However, this is not a federal issue. It's not a federal issue, right? This is a state-by-state issue. If the people of Texas want this done, and then the Texas Rangers and we got like 15 different law enforcement organizations. They're the ones who should be taking care of this, not the feds. I know up in New Hampshire, there was another case where somebody got caught keying a Tesla, and it's a Class A felony to key a car in New Hampshire. So now they're going to suffer the law under the state statute. That's how these things are supposed to work. The feds are not supposed to be everywhere and anywhere. I am not a fan of the FBI putting together a task force to go after Tesla violence. This needs to be a coordinated, use the U.S. Marshals if this is going to be it, right? Use the U.S. Marshals to do something like this, but do not use the FBI. First of all, I know why they're doing it. It's not because of Elon Musk. This is a cheap way to get people to trust the FBI again. It's a cheap win. They nab a couple suspects. All of a sudden, the FBI went from a place that targeted conservatives and was going after conservatives. Now they can say, look, we're going after the people that were going after conservatives. And everybody on the MAGA side will say, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. Look how great they are. They're saving us. And it's just, people are just so, as you can tell, I don't have a lot of faith in people. It will be kind of short-sighted. Anyway, the FBI launches a 10-person task force, which is still less than the amount of people they sent to, Talladega for Bubba Wallace with his quote-unquote noose. Just want to put that out there. To investigate 48 attacks on Tesla properties this March across 9 states, including arson, shootings, and Molotov cocktails at dealerships and charging stations, with multiple arrests made and more expected. This violence appears linked to protests against Elon Musk's role in Trump's administration's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Major Tesla takedown protest is planned for March 29th at 500 locations nationwide, which is raising security concerns. Sources across the spectrum link the attacks to opposition against Musk. Reports universally highlight the unprecedented nature of the FBI's response, treating these incidents as domestic terrorism and forming specialized multi-agency task force. This is an easy win for the FBI to get credibility back. That's all this is. This should be a issue that the your local law enforcement up to your state level law enforcement needs to be taken care of. This is not an FBI thing. You can let me know if you disagree in the comment section down below, but I guarantee you this is not something for the FBI. This is for local law enforcement. This is not something that needs to be dealt with as far as letting the feds come in. The feds are too big to begin with, and I don't want them here anymore. So that's my opinion on that, and I don't think they should be there. Uh, but I understand why, and I told you this is a very easy way for them to gain trust again from the public, especially the MAGA public, which is really what they're trying to do. They're trying to justify their existence. All right, next story here on Rickcast. Let's take a look. Bringing back the left's favorite poster boy, Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione. Oh, Luigi. He seeks laptop access for defense preparation. Luigi Mangione, 26, awaits trial for the December murder of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. His lawyers requested a restricted laptop to review the 15,000 pages of evidence, while prosecutors oppose citing witness threats. The high-profile case has sparked corporate security changes and divided public opinion, with some health insurance companies switching to remote work and blah, 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 blah. So the Luigi Mangione case is gaining steam. And the fact is, why is this significant that he's doing it? Well, Mangione is requesting a specially configured laptop to review these 15,000 pages of documents and thousands of hours of video evidence while in federal custody. This request highlights the challenges of preparing a modern legal defense, as the volume of digital evidence makes traditional visiting hours insufficient for case preparation. Well, I don't like him. I don't like Luigi Mangione. I think what he did was terrible, and I think anybody that thinks he did something good is not a good person either. I am absolutely 100% against using violence to settle your political scores or any score whatsoever. So I am not a fan of his. At the same time, we do live in a system that entitles him to a defense, to as best a defense as he can get. So if this is something he needs, then that's something he needs. So we'll see where that goes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more. Actually two more. I saw this yesterday and I thought of our girl Steph. Steph, I hope you're still watching, because it looks like Colorado submitted to Trump, like they all do, Steph. They all submit to Trump, baby. From leading report, the portrait of babyface Trump, and I don't think babyface Trump is said in a good way, babyface Trump in a good way, is going to be removed from the Colorado Capitol after President Trump complained. Now, I'm on record as saying that it's an awful picture. It's a terrible, terrible picture. But at the same time, it's not inappropriate. It's not, it doesn't make him look like he's got the little hands from Scary Movie 2, or he just looks like he's, like he's allergic to fish and he had a lot of crawfish. He just looks bloated. Really, that's my word. He just looks kind of bloated. So there's nothing wrong inherently with it. But at the same time, it's not a flattering picture of Donnie T. So he complained, and they tried to say, oh, it's a neutral painting. Don't worry about it. It's not anything bad. It's been up since 2019. Why, babyface Trump. He's babyface. I'm babyface Trump. Yes, I am. I'm babyface. Look at his face. It's a babyface. It's beautiful. But the fact is, yes, that's right, Lou. The power of Rickcast compelled the Colorado governor to take it down. That's right. I appreciate you, Lou, pumping my ego up, because that's absolutely not the case. Anyway, I actually thought you could have left it. This was a state issue. There was nothing that Trump could do if they left it up. And if they wanted to leave it up, they could have left it up. It's not a huge deal. Is it a bad picture? Yeah, it is. But, hey, Trump won again, I guess. So good for him. He got that picture taken down. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll talk about this right now. The problem is, taking this down, what will replace it? Right? You have an idea. At least this one's bad. The one they replace it with could be monumentally worse. And they could just go through this game where they keep making worse and worse portraits of Trump, and he keeps complaining and complaining. I would actually find that hysterical if they did that, but we'll see. I don't know. It's something I wouldn't push that agenda if I was Trump. It's not a winning cause on that. All right, last one, ladies and gentlemen, our last report, our last hot take. I'm gonna call it a hot take at this point. But this is actually we can file this under good. We can file this under good Trump. Haven't been able to say good Trump in a while, but the idea here is good. It is good. I like it. It's a good one. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Take a look. Breaking, or just news from CatholicVote.com. Trump administration to defund Planned Parenthood of tens of millions of dollars of Title X grants. Planned Parenthood ended the lives of nearly 400,000 babies last year. It's from the Wall Street Journal. Tens of millions of dollars in federal funding for Planned Parenthood and other groups would be cut off while the administration examines their DEI efforts. We can file this under good Trump. Defunding Planned Parenthood in any way, shape, or form is a good thing, and we give it a thumbs up. So let's listen to the Trumpster talk about it.
If Planned Parenthood is defunded, would you look into the harvesting of baby organs that they've done throughout the years and maybe go after some criminal prosecution on that?
Well, I think you're talking about a subject that is a heated subject, and we'll look into it. We're going to look into everything, but that's certainly a subject that's been debated for a long time, and we will look into it, yeah.
So, there you go. Good Trump on this one. Defunding Planned Parenthood, however you can do it, is defunding Planned Parenthood, however you do it. So, thumbs up for that one, Trump. Good job. All right, this is Rick Cass. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, repost it on X. Guys on X, y'all let me down tonight. Usually you guys are pretty good, but not now. Not now. You guys are pretty bad right now. You guys are real good. You're not real good. Of course, YouTube's always holding it down. Got a couple people on Rumble. Good to see you, ladies and gentlemen, as well. Anyway, let's move on to our first official story of the night. One of our 4 stories that we usually cover here on Rickcast. And I have to say that the left, the right complains about her, but this girl is a gift. This Jasmine, oh, she makes my heart flutter, because there's never a boring day, because this wench she just can't handle it. She just cannot stop opening her mouth. And we've covered this woman more than we should have. And I was one of the first, outside of Crowder was the first to really break this down. And then I showed you guys, I went through, before anybody else did, her history of going to a Catholic school where it was like $25,000 a year minimum. And then she went to a exclusive liberal arts college for like $55,000. This woman's not from poor circumstances. This woman is actually a woman of privilege, but now she is being used by the Democratic Party to be ratchet, as the kids say, and to be ghetto, despite the fact that she's never been that. And she's just, at this point, because there's that vacuum of power in the Democratic Party, you've got all these, you got Stephen A. Smith on the periphery, you got AOC going around with Bernie, you got this crazy lady at Gavin Newsom doing podcasts. Everybody's trying to make a name for themselves. And Jasmine here has just decided that she is going to go, as, you know, my Spaceballs reference, she's going to plaid. She's going straight to plaid and trying to just get headlines based on that. So it's pretty interesting in that regard to watch her do this. So this is from the Chronicle, HoustonChronicle.com, which Ground News says is a center newspaper, which we know is not. But anyway. So Texas Texas Congressman Randy Weber is proposing an effort to censor fellow Lone Star State Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett over remarks she made referring to Governor Greg Abbott as Governor Hot Wheels, which we here at Rickcast will take a moment to not say anything except kind of give a smirk. Listen to Jasmine in her own words.
Because we in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes.
Someone's got to put a lid on this woman. They got to put a lid on her. Not that I care. I think she should continue to talk every single day. You had the signal mess. We talked about it yesterday. And the Democrats are trying to hop on this and say, "Oh, this is the biggest scandal ever. National security concerns." Blah 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 blah. They're trying to really pound this thing home. And then Jasmine Crockett kind of comes out of nowhere, calling Governor Greg Abbott Hot Wheels and all these other things. And they're like, "Daggone it, Jasmine, can you shut up for one day?" Because it just shifts the focus away from all of this. And it's really, and it's very interesting to see how she has just been let off of the chain, the hook, whatever you want to call it. And, fame reveals people, right? Because when people are in certain positions of fame or power or prestige, when they feel they can't do anything wrong, when they feel they're untouchable, you really see themselves. Now, I'm not talking about the ghetto language, but the unfeathered disrespect for everybody, because she was a child of privilege and she was a child of a daughter of a preacher. You can see this natural rebellion that's taking place. She's my age. She's a 43-year-old woman at this point too. Let's not act like she's 20. And so, yes, Brian, you can thank her, because I'm guessing you were talking to her in Houston. And she's like, "You know what, Brian? I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that word, Brian. Thank you." But it's absolutely hysterical. The draft resolution reportedly first obtained by Fox News rebutes Crockett's discriminatory comments made at a human rights campaign, which is ironic enough, over the weekend. The call to censure the Congresswoman describes her latest remark as the latest in a continued series of inappropriate comments. The draft references remarks made last year by Crockett during a House Committee on Oversight and Investigations about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Crockett called Greene out for having bleach blonde, bad build, butch body, only after Greene suggested that Crockett's fake eyelashes were getting in the way. Of course, that was unnecessary and another reason why women shouldn't be in politics, but whatever the case may be. Crockett's comment about Abbott, who has been in a wheelchair since he was 26-year-old and paralyzed from the waist down, drew criticism from GOP lawmakers. Now, listen, there's a lot of stuff you can make fun of Greg Abbott for. He's a terrible governor. The guy wanted to be the attorney general. He wants out of Texas. He thought the governorship was a stepping stone to maybe being the vice president, maybe being the attorney general. Actually, at this point, I would have taken him over Pam, Law, and Bunny Bondi. But something. He wanted out of this job. He wanted a federal job desperately. And the fact that he's stuck in Texas, he's terrible. He's terrible at his job. And lots to point out that he is not very good at his job. But from an optics standpoint, you don't go after people in wheelchairs for being in wheelchairs. You make fun of them for other stuff. You don't call out the thing that everybody sees. It's just you don't look smart doing it, because that's a battle you can't win. You've given Governor Greg Abbott a layup. He has an easy out to respond to this when she runs for re-election, or if she tries to go any higher because people think she's running for president in 2028 or vice president or whatever. They're just going to smack her with this thing all over the place, and she's doomed. So it is what it is, but it was, I talk about unforced errors a lot. I do. I talk about unforced errors all the time. Yeah, nice, Brian. But the world's going to rip you down. The world's going to tear you down if you do everything as close to right as possible. Don't give them any extra ammunition. And I guess Crockett feels that she is bulletproof because she's a Democrat and the left is going to run cover for her. Once again, the problem is all of these Democratic politicians are stooges, meaning that as soon as they have used up their usefulness, they will kindly be put away and they will have no more function for the Democratic Party. And that's that's going to set herself up for failure. But hey, what's the phrase? You don't have to do anything when, what's Sun Tzu say, let the enemy destroy themselves, whatever the case may be. In this case, that is happening right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rickcast. I am the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. I don't know what's going on with X tonight. We are being suppressed like it is going out of style. We only have 6 people watching on there. Usually we have at least 50 to 60. I don't know what they're doing to me tonight over there. Elon doesn't like me. I'm sorry. I'll stop making fun of your baby mamas. Just give me some room here. Give me some room, man. Anyway, let's move on to our next story. This was supposedly touted as big news. Russia and Ukraine agree to Black Sea ceasefire, but Zelensky says Russia is lying about the terms. Now, if you're wondering what the terms are, there's 5 bullet points I have here that talks about this. The first one is, this is an agreement on safe navigation. Russia and Ukraine have agreed to ensure safe navigation in the Black Sea, eliminate the use of force, and prevent commercial vessels from being used for military purposes, aiming to reduce hostilities in this critical maritime region. Energy infrastructure truce. Both sides have committed to a ban on strikes against energy infrastructure with the intention of protecting civilian and economic assets through implementation details and enforcement remaining under discussion. Then you have an effective date dispute that's happening, unfortunately. This is being led by President Zelensky because the guy agrees and then he doesn't, then he agrees and then he doesn't, then he agrees and then he doesn't. He's just a hot mess. He asserts that the ceasefire should take effect immediately on March 25th, with Russian conditions that it starts on lifting Western sanctions on its agricultural imports and financial systems, creating a point of contention because both are going to promote their own interests, and they're going to say, hey, if we're going to do this, we need to do this in my best interest, and I get that. U.S. mediation role. The ceasefire stems from the U.S.-led talks in Saudi Arabia, with Washington facilitating separate agreements with Russia and Ukraine and promising to help erase sanctions on Russian agriculture to support the deal's progress. And finally, skepticism and conditions. Both nations expressed doubt about the other's commitment, with Ukraine warning of self-defense rights if Russia violates the term, and Russia tying full compliance to additional demands like swift access to restoration, complicating enforcement. Almost guarantees Zelensky agreed to one thing in negation. Yeah, I agree. Because Zelensky's got to play both roles, because as soon as this thing ends, he's going to be nicely removed out of power. So it's going to be interesting in that regard. So Washington releases a separate statement from American officials, after American officials met representatives from both countries in Saudi Arabia. And so this is yet another angle. You got to give Trump credit, because he's trying every single angle the man can think of. Every single angle the man can think of to try and get some kind of peace talks going. Oh, we'll do economic ones. That didn't work. We'll do this. That didn't work. What about the Black Sea? We won't do that. He's trying every single angle that he can in order to at least start the process. He's at least trying to start the process. And the fact that he's doing that, he's not giving up. So you got to give him credit there. But at least as of right now, this has been something that has been agreed to. And we'll see where really the ball is in Zelensky's court. Because if Zelensky, as Crockett said a second ago, if he plays ball, then the thing can continue. But the fact that he's constantly agreeing to one thing, then doing another, then agreeing to one thing, then doing another, and just kind of being all over the place. 1 minute he's all on board with peace talks, then the next minute he's running to the press and saying we're not going to give up 1 inch of land, or whatever the case may be. And it's frustrating, because it seems like Zelensky is only repeating what he's told. As the comment section has been saying, I think when he's in these negotiations, he's agreeing to it because he's thinking in the back of his head, yeah, this thing's got to end. There's no way out for us, and I'm going to wind up dead if I keep this up somehow. And then he gets out and he gets a call from like the EU, or he gets a call from somebody else, and they're like, nah. You're continuing to do this. You are going to continue to do this. and he just goes, fine, and he says what he needs to say. I think when he's in the negotiations, I think that's him agreeing to them because he realizes this thing has got to end. And when he's outdoors, when he's in front of the press, when he's at these summits, he is saying what his backers are intending him to say. But you let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think that this is going to work? Is this just another fake out, as in, yeah, we'll agree to it, and then completely, 20 minutes later say, no, we don't agree to it? We shall see, and you have to let me know. All right, this is Rick Cass. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, repost this sucker, especially if you're on X, to try and get more people to check it out. Comment section is doing great, as it always does, and I appreciate everybody. Once again, Twitch user, I salute you. My one Twitch user, you are holding it down, as they say. So anyway, let's move on to the story we kind of mentioned earlier about Yeti. And this one's kind of interesting. This came out today. This is not something from a couple weeks ago. This is today. And we might be seeing the cusp of an epic backlash for Yeti. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. If they're watching Rickcast, then maybe, but I doubt they are. Let's take a look. Conservative nonprofit says Yeti suddenly canceled order because of one political word. A conservative women's nonprofit says that Yeti abruptly canceled the group's order and claimed to have done so because the design had the word conservative on it. Now, if you know anything about certain segments of Southern culture, i.e., going to the lake, going out on boats, hunting, outdoors in any way, shape, or form, Yetis are a staple pretty much everywhere in the South. Now, I know people in the North would be like, yeah, they're in the North too, but man, believe me, Yetis are everywhere. You go into like a Academy Sports and there's entire sections dedicated to the product. I think I have 2 or 3 of them in the house just by accident. Just if you live here long enough, they just fall into your lap one day and you're like, oh, I have another Yeti. Sweet. Coolers, cups, everything, anything outdoorsy related. Southerners love it. Huge staple at tailgates and so forth. So the fact that they are rejecting somebody for having the word conservative on it, it seems strange for them to do so. The official account for the Claire Booth Luce, or Luce, I'm going to say Luce, Lucy, Center for Conservative Women posted the details about the incident on the X social media platform on Monday. The center is based in Herndon, Virginia. We thought cancel culture went out with 2024, but here we are, they said. And this is their official post. Canceled. And that's apparently the Yeti in question. The organization said it ordered mugs from Yeti before and simply needed to restock them. The group put in the order and received confirmation from the company. They then received an email that their order was canceled. Quote, I would like to sincerely apologize for the cancellation of your order. Yeti is unable to customize products with text or logos that are licensed, copyrighted, profane, or political in nature. If there's another logo within our guidelines that you would like to move forward with, please let me know, the company added. Of course, this was after Yeti had reportedly accepted payment for the order, which is very interesting that they would do this. I mean, this isn't the first time somebody's asked for like a conservative word on a Yeti. Anyway, the center said, we talked on the phone today with the Yeti sales manager, and she told us the phrase conservative women is on the political aisle, and they cannot provide us with the product. The center said the organization is officially a 501c3 nonprofit, which means it's designated as non-political. Quote, we are an educational organization that works to help young women become strong conservative leaders. Our organization provides young women with many opportunities through our programs, blah, blah, blah. There's a picture with the mug in question. Oh my gosh. They continued, we'd ordered the exact same product from Yeti last year with no problems. This is ridiculous. Yeti, do better. Yeti previously faced boycotts are when we buy things, from many on the right when it cut ties with the National Rifle Association in 2018, which is weird because nobody really likes the National Rifle Association, National Rifle Organization. I've never heard of them. But this isn't the first time that supposedly conservative companies or companies that are associated with conservative lifestyle or culture have turned their backs on conservatives. The most famous that comes to mind is the Wounded Warrior Project. Have you ever heard about that? I think it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I think back in 2012, where there was this charity that was auctioning off a rifle, an AR-15, and they wanted to put Wounded Warrior on there, a Wounded Warrior Project, because they were a sponsor. And Wounded Warrior came out as this huge anti-gun organization, and everybody was like, what are you talking about? Most of the Wounded Warrior projects that you fund are like hunting expeditions and all these other things. So this is something that we have to deal with on the right constantly, is being slapped in the face for our belief system and trying to have any kind of culture that is associated with it. So we'll see if this catches. I don't know. But the article continued, that certainly isn't sportsmanlike. In fact, Yeti should be ashamed. They have declined to continue helping America's young people, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it was the National Rifle Association, not organization. Blaze Media has reached out to Yeti for comment after the claims, and the company did not immediately respond. Glenn Beck retweeted that that's actually how I found it, and it was trending at one point on X. So we'll see if in the Trump era, if this will actually have any weight or if this will just kind of float by the wayside. Because, I mean, they tried to do this before with the NRA, but the NRA is not really liked by many people, especially in conservative circles, because they're kind of a sellout, at least with the way the organization is, currently staffed. So that doesn't really get the attention. This one is a women's conservative organization. So in the Diversity Olympics, this one might hold a little bit more sway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our final story of the day. From bleedingfool.com, Disney shareholders overwhelmingly shun MAGA and any anti-DEI proposals. This was today. This actual story came out. Disney shareholders made a foolish decision last week, rejecting efforts to cut. I know, right, Magdalene? She's sending me. Yeah, we're being heavily censored on X right now. But I don't know what they're doing to us. I don't know what's in the title. But you do what you do. I'm happy that you guys are here. That's all that matters. But yeah, I agree. 100%, Meg. So, Disney shareholders overwhelmingly shun MAGA and any anti-DEI proposals. So they made this foolish decision last week, rejecting efforts to cut ties with the Human Rights Campaign Corporate Equity Equality Index and top LGBT MAP group, despite current political climate and despite the fact that Disney is finally scrapping a lot of its diversity programs in the wake of repeated box office failures and dwindling theme park attendance. This comes as Donald Trump's campaign against DEI is intensified, and many corporations are trying to remain in good graces, as well as over half the voters in America. Oh, in his good graces and half the voters in America. The new proposal is to shift away from DEI focus and included measures to probe Disney's alleged moves to demonize platforms, podcasts, news outlets, and others for expressing disfavored political and religious viewpoints, were unanimously recommended against by the board. I don't know. Am I retarded tonight? Or I might not be able to read this. Anyway. Only a measly 7% of shareholders voted to approve of the proposal related to participation in the Human Rights Campaign Corporate Equity Index, and a partly 1% voted to approve the proposal for a report on requests related to sections of ad buyers and sellers. This means over 90% of Disney shareholders reject any threat to their embrace of DEI. Disney Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Legal and Compliance Officer Horacio E. Gutierrez declared the political items, quote, not approved, unquote. While Disney's executives may be leaning in the direction of such directives, the shareholders' rejection of these Trump-tinged measures show a desire for the company to remain focused on merit-based decision-making rather than getting caught in the diversity partisan drama. Disney shareholders are making a very big mistake by continuing to prioritize DEI and, quote unquote, inclusion initiatives. These kinds of political efforts have already alienated large swaths of their once loyal fan base, as evidenced by poor performance of Disney theme parks, movies, and shrinking Disney Plus subscriptions. By focusing on appeasing a small minority of vocal left-wing activists, Disney is neglecting its core audience and ultimately harming its bottom line. Let's see. So this is pretty much a state of the current political talks. You see, even Major League Baseball, I saw, is getting rid of their DEI office, which is nice because if they just do a little bit more, I'll start going back to watching baseball games. But this idea is just absolutely mind-blowing because the tide is currently going in the opposite direction of DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion, and all of these things. And I feel like the shareholders are mostly Disney adults, you know, your childish weirdos, the dinks, the dual income, no kids, or the special kind of people that are really into the idea of making Disney this magical lesbian LGBT home. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to double down, and they're saying once Trump leaves, it'll go back to normal, or the pendulum has to swing back in our direction. And all we have to do is just hold down the fort while this whole thing goes on, and then it will eventually blow over. The only problem with that idea is that they're going to lose even more loads of money than they have been losing. Now, I have said that I believe that Disney was going to be one of the four services left standing, the four entertainment, them, Universal, Apple, and Amazon. But at this rate, I don't even know if Disney will make it to 2028. The rest of, they're going to do well with Lilo and Stitch. They're going to make $1 billion with that. They're going to lose, they're probably going to lose money with Fantastic Four. They're probably going to lose money with the Thunderbolts. They're definitely going to lose more Disney Plus subscriptions with these DEI shows that are going on there. They just don't seem to have a cohesion strategy to get out of this muck that they're in. Because they had, I mean, when your entire business strategy is to indulge in fantasy, that's essentially what the LGBT MAP movement is. It's a fantasy, and those people have that escape inside Disney, and they are refusing to give it up. But yes, President BBL will swing the pendulum back when she gets in. But until then, there's still a lot of money to lose. And the fact that they are openly saying no to even considering changing course shows it is their religion and it is their belief. All right, folks. I appreciate you guys watching tonight here on Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. If you are interested, my reaction to Daredevil episode 5 will go off at 9 o'clock Central Time tonight. That's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So I will put it out on X. Maybe X won't censor that one. I don't know, but we'll see. Elon, I have no problem with your baby mamas. You do what you got to do, right? Is that what I got to say? I love Tesla, whatever, just to try and get back in the good graces of it. Anyway, I'm very happy that you guys hung out with me here on Rickcast. I will talk to you all later. God bless. And until that day comes, ladies and gentlemen, free Dexter Taylor.